What is up, everybody? Eric Cain, Volquest.com, and the 2023 NFL Draft, it is officially underway. Thursday night, first round. Offensive tackle Darnell Wright goes 10th overall to the Chicago Bears. The Bears, who originally had the top pick, traded with Carolina months ago, had the 9th pick, traded back to 10th with Philadelphia, took their offensive tackle and Darnell Wright, and there's a little bit of a connection there as some members of the coaching staff for Chicago were in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, and they got to know Darnell Wright pretty well at that point in time. But Tennessee has a top 10 pick, Darnell Wright. It's the first-round pick for the University of Tennessee since Derek Barnett was drafted by the Eagles in 2017, and it's the first offensive lineman drafted in the first round for Tennessee since Juwan James back in 2014 when he went 19th overall. The first time, and before that, it was a pair of Tennessee offensive linemen that went 7th and 8th overall back in 1991. So an historic pick for the University of Tennessee, no doubt. And when you look at Chicago, they are wanting to protect their investment from a couple years ago in Justin Fields. They're moving on. Justin Fields is going to be their franchise quarterback. They need to protect him, and so getting a right tackle who's a plug-and-play player day one in Darnell Wright was high atop the leaderboard, and he is going to be just that. He's going to step in. He can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. He's made starts at guard for Tennessee over the points of his career, over 40 starts in Southeastern Conference play. Darnell Wright, who moved so much over this NFL draft season, if you will, and moved all the way up, thought he was going to be a mid-teens pick, but lo and behold, the second offensive lineman drafted in this class behind Paris Johnson Jr., who went 6th to the Cardinals, right in front of the Northwestern product and Peter Skoronowski, who went to Tennessee. It's Darnell Wright, 10th overall to the Chicago Bears, and what this can mean for Josh Heupel, what this can mean for Glenn Ellerbe and the Tennessee program, it's just another notch on that belt saying, hey, you come to the University of Tennessee, we're going to go win games, we're going to hope to win conferences and championships, and I'm going to get you into the NFL draft. And hey, look what I did to Darnell Wright, a top 10 pick in 2023 as he reunites with Velus Jones in the Windy City for the Chicago Bears. Now, moving on, what can this mean for day two? Quarterback Hendon Hooker, who I thought would be a first-round selection on Thursday night, he slid to the second round. And I shouldn't say slid because Hendon has a second-round grade, but I just thought the way that these NFL drafts work, he was going to be selected in the first round. Will Levis, who was supposed to be a top 5 pick, had a 99.2% chance, according to ESPN Stats and Info, of being selected in the first round. Will Levis slid, and I think that might have been a reason why Hendon Hooker was not picked up. Once you got past Minnesota at 23, and Minnesota went wide receiver, you just knew, unless somebody traded back into the first round, Hendon Hooker was not going to be taken on Thursday. But that doesn't mean he won't be taken early on Friday. When you look at the board for the second round of the NFL draft, you have the LA Rams sitting with the 5th pick of the second round. You have the Seattle Seahawks sitting with the 6th pick of the second round. And then you have the Tennessee Titans sitting with the 10th pick of the second round. All three of those teams could be going and getting a quarterback. And there are 2 quarterbacks on the board, in Will Levis and Hendon Hooker, that arguably could have been selected in the first round, of course. So will there be some movement there from maybe Tennessee and or Seattle to get in front of LA and go and get their guy? We will have to find out. Tennessee has a couple wide receivers in terms of Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt, who I expect to be picked in the second round. Some of those teams that could be after wide receiver, look at the Raiders at 38th overall, the Saints at 40th overall, the Carolina Panthers at 39th overall as well. Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman expected to come off the board Friday night for sure. I would project those guys to come off the board in the second round. And then you have Byron Young, a pass rusher as well, as you see Cedric Tillman there, who could be the jewel of this draft in the wide receiver class. The Tennessee Titans also needing a wide receiver, so maybe something there at 41 overall. But you have Byron Young, who is a pass rusher, can be considered an outside linebacker and or a defensive end. He is still on the board, as is B.J. Ojulari of LSU. Those two guys play the same position. I expect both of those guys to come off the board tonight for sure, and Tennessee potentially could have 4 prospects coming off the board Friday night in the second round. So any way you want to spin it, it's going to be an eventful night for the University of Tennessee with rounds 2 and 3 coming up on Friday night, and then there will be the case of, will anybody else be drafted in the latter rounds on Saturday? a Jerome Carvin, a Jeremy Banks, a Paxton Brooks, a Trayvon Flowers, Latrell Bumpus, Princeton Fant. Maybe one of those guys could sneak in and get drafted on Saturday. We will have to find out. But Darnell Wright, the highest pick for a Tennessee football player in quite some time. Eric Berry was a top 5 pick all the way back in 2010. Again, I mentioned Juwan James, 19th in 2014. Derek Barnett went 17th, all the way back in 2017, or he was a first-round pick back in 2017. Darnell Wright, a top 10 pick for the University of Tennessee. A huge accomplishment for Josh Heupel, a huge accomplishment for Glenn Ellerbe, and obviously a huge accomplishment for Darnell Wright. A good night for Tennessee on Thursday nights, and looking forward to many, many more. Busy night ahead for Friday and Saturday. And you can catch this always at Volquest.com and Volquest on the YouTube channel.